All right, guys. I'm Craig Severinson, and welcome to the podcast. I'm going to be completely honest. Today, we're starting this podcast. This is the first one that we're going to be doing out of several. Hopefully, we know we'll do a lot. But the thing is that I don't even have a name yet. I've gone through a lot in my head. Um, but this is the first one, and I'm kind of giving it a trial run, trying to see what it's all about, using different tools. And I just want to give you the premise of what we're going to be trying to do here today, or what we're going to be trying to do in this whole podcast, really. I love being an entrepreneur, and I love startups, and I love working with startups and entrepreneurs. But the thing is that the landscape is constantly changing. And, there's so much information out there that just it doesn't make sense for everybody. More than that, there's a bunch of theory and not enough advice about how to actually go out and do something. So this podcast, what we're going to focus on, getting down to the nitty gritty of growing a business. In particular, we're going to focus on marketing. We're going to be focusing on public relations and just general advice on how to grow a smart business so that it makes money. And today, in particular, what I want to talk about is kind of it's theory in a way, because I want to talk about getting to know your client. And that's a buzzword that you hear marketing people say all the time. What's the number one thing you should do to market your business? Or what's the number one thing you can do to grow your business? And the answer from any marketing person is almost always 100% know your audience. Now, that's fine and dandy. I think everyone can agree with that. You need to know who you're talking to in order to talk to them in a way that they listen to you, that they understand you. But the thing is that there's not enough substance in that. If you were to say that to somebody who's never done it before, or even you might be in that position where someone is saying that to you, you have no idea how to go out and do that. And so what happens with most business owners, what happens with most entrepreneurs is they skip it or they guess. And that's a problem. And the reason why that's a problem is because if you try and go talk to somebody and you're not speaking their language, they're going to ignore you. We got to be serious here. We are a conceited people. We don't really think about things outside of our bubble. If it doesn't affect me, I don't want to think about it. So if you are talking, so the mistake that most people make because they don't know their client is that they start talking about things that are important to them. That's why they get stuck on talking about their business. It's me, us, us, us. And the client looks at that and says, hey, I don't care about you. That's a blunt way to put it, but they don't care about what you're doing. So you've got to change the way you talk to people, and you've got to be sure that you're speaking their language. I like to, I don't know if it's the best example or not, but one of the examples I like to put is Cinderella. If you've ever heard that fairy tale, or if you've seen the Disney movie about Cinderella, it helps to kind of put this in perspective. And I know we're talking theory. We're going to get to action in a minute, so just stay with me. Cinderella did not care about the fairy godmother. And if you're watching, we're going off the Disney movie here. If you're watching the movie, when the fairy godmother shows up, Cinderella is confused and surprised, but she's pretty much like, well, what are you doing here? This isn't your home. And it's not until the fairy godmother starts bippity-boppy booing everything, using her magic to change everything, that Cinderella really sits up and pays attention. Suddenly, when there's something in it for Cinderella, she's all about the fairy godmother. It's the same way with us. If we don't address what our clients want, then they're not going to pay attention to us. They don't care. So the question becomes, how do you get to know your client? And this is where we get down to the action. How do you get to know your client? Well, there's a couple ways, and I'm going to suggest two in particular that I really think that you can get out right now and you can give it a shot. There are surveys and there are phone call interviews. Now, both of those things can be done really cheaply. If you go to places like surveymonkey.com, you can get free surveys there. Of course, there are companies that you can pay to do that sort of research for you. But what I would really suggest is just go onto surveymonkey.com, make your free account. It's not going to be the most professional looking survey in the world, but that doesn't matter. That's not what you're going for here. Make yourself a survey, make it as short as you can. I'm talking like 5, maybe 10 questions, and just get to the point of what you're wanting to know. Ask some cursory questions like demographics, like, well, how old are you? How much money do you make, if you want to, but you really want to get down to the demographic, or to psychographics of it. And what I mean by that is you want to know more about what problems are they having in their business, how do they feel about those problems, and what do they wish they had to overcome those problems. Same thing with if you're doing one-on-one phone calls. You want to dig a little bit deeper besides just the cursory, hey, how are you? Tell me about your business, and then try and pitch them. In fact, you don't want to pitch them at all. You're doing research here. You're trying to draw the answers out of them so that you can build a product or you can build a solution to their problems. So with the one-on-one interviews, you're going to call them, you're going to talk to them, you're going to say things like, hey, you know, what is the number one problem bugging you today? And when they give that to you, don't just stop there. Dig a little deeper. Why is that a problem to you? What sort of things does that cause? What sort of pain does that cause in your company? You know, how do you feel about that? How does it make you feel? And what would it feel like to have that problem taken care of? What would it take to get that problem taken care of? And who could do that for you? And explore those things with them. The phone calls are probably better than the interviews because you can dig deeper with them. You know, you can get a 40-minute phone call out of somebody, and because of the human connection, they're willing to stay on there. If you do the survey, which I suggest you do both because, I mean, the survey's free, and you might get some people that you're not going to get through an interview. But when you do the survey, you really have 10 questions, and that's it before they're not going to answer anymore. And if you have too many questions, they might get halfway through the survey and then just bail on you. And if you don't have it set up right, you lose all the answers. I mean, it's a big deal. So just keep that short and to the point with those questions. Now, how are you going to choose people to do these surveys and these interviews with? That's an easy answer. One is if you already have clients, if you have people that you're working with, why not start with them? Go to your best clients and ask them if they'd let you do an interview with them. If you want to give an incentive, you can. That always makes people more willing to participate. You can offer a discount on a month of service or something along those lines. Or, you know, you could just say, hey, do me a favor. A lot of times people are, if they like you, they'll do a favor for you. The next place to look is in the network you already have. I have yet to run into a company that doesn't have an audience on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, which is probably, you probably are, most of the world is, then just get on Facebook and start looking around the people that you are friends with. Try to identify, you know, 20, 30, 40 people that kind of fit, you assume, into your market, and then reach out to them and see if they'll do an interview with you. I think that you should probably talk to about that many people in your interviews. Do 30 or 40 interviews and take notes. What are themes that come out? What are problems that you see over and over again? And if you have a product that you're working on, or if you have a product that you're building, feel free at the end of the interview. Don't do it right away. Dig into their problems first. But at the end of the interview, feel free to start verifying your assumptions. You know, what do you think about this solution, or what do you think about this product? Now, the thing about this, another reason why people ignore this sort of market research is because lots of entrepreneurs or small business owners, they get into their business because they fell in love with a product. And so they're afraid that if they do the market research on it, someone's going to come up to them and say, this product isn't viable. It's not going anywhere. Okay, for that answer, I've got a question for you. Would you rather find that out now, or would you rather waste a year of your life figuring out that the product you're trying to sell isn't the right solution? I personally would rather know right now. It's going to save you time. And what's great about it is that if you're doing this, you're going to find other products that you can sell, or you're going to find a variation of the product that you're making that people want. So it's not really about your ego. Get over it. Don't put this off just because you're scared of what people might say. You need to face the facts and then make an informed decision. And the best way to do that, the best way to get to know your audience, is through these surveys and informational interviews. Now, there's other ways you can do it too. There's free resources that you can generalize to find out demographics, you know, like the Census Bureau. Once you start kind of, the thing about like census data and demographics in general that I don't particularly care for is that it doesn't really talk about behaviors and emotions. And those are the things that really keep your client coming back to you. A demographic or a feature of a product may sell your product one time. you may get one sale out of that. But what keeps a person coming back, what builds brand loyalty, is actually the values that you represent and the benefits of your product. So let's break that down a little bit. What is the difference between a feature and a benefit? A feature is something that you do. So for instance, let's say a microphone. I only say that because I'm looking right at a microphone here. A feature of a microphone might be how well it records, or how it sits on your desk, or how it plugs in to your computer. Those are all features. A benefit would be expressing yourself through the medium that the microphone allows. You can record your music and express yourself to the world. You can record a podcast and give your opinion to the world. Those are benefits. They're much more emotional. They're much more deeper, and they get people to come back time after time after time. So you want to really focus on those benefits over the features. But again, you don't know what benefits to highlight if you don't know who your audience is and what they want. So demographics don't really give you that sort of information. They tell you, in general terms, what a person might like, about what a person might do, where a person might be, but they don't tap into those deeper psychographics of how they feel, what drives them, what are their motivations. That's where it's hard to quantify, it's harder to get a hold of, but focus groups, interviews, and surveys are how you get that information, and that is so imperative. That's what I'm talking about when I tell you to get to know your customer, is you need to go out and actually talk to them. It's even better if you have, in today's world, you can make phone calls and talk to anybody over Skype for, you can talk to someone in Europe, you can talk to somebody wherever you want. But if you have a local business where you can actually go somewhere and rub elbows with these people, you need to go do that. Go buy some drinks for somebody, go sit down and have dinner with somebody and talk to them and get to know them. And those people are going to become your best customers, they're going to become your best friends, and they're going to be your best resource to reaching out to other people. So that's the gist of what I wanted to get done in today's podcast. We covered a lot there, but the overall takeaway here is the theory foundational. I know we said we weren't going to talk about theory, but the theory foundational thought of you need to know your audience. But we broke that down into actionable steps. If you want to get to know your audience, you need to do some interviews. You need to do some surveys. If you can do some focus groups or go out to dinner with some people, you need to do that. But the idea is that you want to extract from these people solutions and problems, focusing on problems. If you don't solve a problem like the fairy godmother solved the problem for Cinderella, nobody's gonna care. So you're extracting these problems from them. And that's either going to verify that, yes, you have a good product, yes, you have a good plan, or that's gonna tell you you don't have a good product, but here's another way you can go. The more that you can do that, the better you're gonna be. Okay, guys, so again, I'm Craig Severinson. I own the company Brightworks PR and Marketing. You can check my website out at brightworkspr.com. I'm on LinkedIn. Just search for Craig Severinson. I think there's one other Craig Severinson out there, but you'll know me. I have tons of posts. And then you can find us on Facebook too, facebook.com/brightworkspr. We'd love to hear from you. Leave comments below. I'm going to leave this up on YouTube until we can get it sorted and put up the podcast. I'd love to, if you're watching this and you have some ideas for the name of the podcast, I'd love to see them down in the comments below. Just some ideas that I've been having about the name is something along the lines of real life entrepreneur, or the entrepreneur's classroom, and wouldn't you know it, those names are already taken. So something that conveys that feeling of, hey, we're going to have actionable things in this podcast. I also am looking for entrepreneurs and small business owners who want to come on and talk, get interviewed. You'd get some free publicity out of it, but also we'd like to learn from you and know what you're doing to grow your business. And love to hear from you. So put those in the comments below. I'm Craig Severinson. Have a good day, guys.